All right. Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Still Employed, Still Afraid. And today we have Dr. RDB, but I'm going to have her share a little bit about who she is and where you can find her online virtually. Dr. B.
Hi, I'm so
RDB.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Yes, I am Reverend Dr. Xenia Barnes, also known as RDB Speaks. I am located in Brooklyn, New York. That's right, you heard it, Brooklyn, New York. You probably can hear from the accent. I
Yes.
am a social behavioral scientist as well as a leadership development trauma informed expert. And so what I do is I teach individuals how to lead from a trauma informed place, but also how to unlock those gold mine thoughts, especially nowadays with the economy the way it is. We have so many ideas, but a lot of times we get in our head and we prevent ourselves from doing the great things or utilizing the skills that we have to take us to the next level. So my role is to come into your life and help you unlock those gold mine thoughts to take you to the next level.
All right, RDB, I like it. I like it. I like it. So you have named something that so many feel but haven't had the language for:
Mhm.
psychological warfare at work. For Black, Brown, and disabled professionals, the cost isn't just economic, it's
Mhm.
emotional, it's spiritual, it's systemic. So today we're going to talk about going beyond that burnout, and we're going to talk about battle fatigue and the power of self led liberation. So, what does it look like in a modern workplace? How do professionals know when they're inside it? Because sometimes when you're inside, it's hard to see the forest for the trees. So, can you share that with us?
Absolutely, and that's such a great question. And the best way I can tell you to look for it is observe it is to listen to your body. Your body will tell you everything you need to know first, from the migraines to the stomach aches to the shortness of breath, the tightness in your chest, all those little things those little nuances that we typically put to the back burner. Those are signs of us letting us know that we are in distress. And so often what happens, because we're so prone to, especially as women of color, we're so prone to just pushing through, or this idea of what strength looks like, that we typically don't listen to we don't listen to the signs that our bodies are giving us. In
Mm-hmm.
order for you to really understand that burnout, and when you're approaching that, you have to do just that. You have to know when to stop, when to pause, and when to breathe. You also have to know when that it's okay to put things down that weren't meant for you to carry.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best way for you to be able to manage your ability to say, you know what, I'm not taking this home with me.
That's right.
I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to pause, I'm going to reset, and then I'm going to relaunch.
I love that. I love that. What are some of the coded phrases or normalized practices that reinforce harm in diverse, quote unquote, workplaces?
I would definitely say phrases like you are you're not an overworker. You're just very passionate about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Typically you hear
Mm-hmm.
your boss say that when they have this project that they bring into you, just before you're ready to go home, and they like, I know you do so much, but if you can just complete this one more, this last
Mm-hmm.
task before you leave, and then you
Mm-hmm.
sit down, you go, you know what? They're probably coming to me, and these are things we tell ourselves. They're coming to me because there's no one else that can do what I do.
Yes.
And so we trick ourselves into believing that no one else can do it the way we do it. And so now we're overworking ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how we contribute to our own burnout. But
Mm-hmm.
that's also a sign that employees look for, and they notice. And so when you think about when you go on these interviews, right? And I know I
Mm-hmm.
might be going on a rant, but this is something I think is really important. I want to point out. When you
Mm-hmm.
go on the interviews and they ask you to tell them about a time where you were in a bind and you really had to problem solve and push your way
Yes.
through, right?
Yes.
If you've been in a job interview,
Eh,
everyone asks you this question.
yes.
Now, what they're doing is they're trying to see how far you're willing to go
Mm-hmm.
in the trenches, well, in their
Mm-hmm.
trenches, right? How
Mm-hmm.
far far can I push you before a breaking point, before you say, I'm going to pass this on to someone else? Now, if you telling me, and this is like you saying it was a time where the organization was in this crunch and they needed extra time and everyone else said no, but I was the one who stepped up to the plate. To you, this is sounding great. Like you're like, oh, I'm landing this, right? But what you're going to realize is you're putting yourself in this box or in this place where they know they can say, you know what? We can call on her to do the extra work that no one else is willing to do. And we're probably not even going to have to pay her extra money.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Herein comes the burnout, right?
Yeah.
Because now I just talked myself into probably lower salary. I just talked myself into more hours.
Yes. Less work-life balance, all the things.
I just talked myself into less life balance, and I just promoted myself to burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
these are the things that no one mentioned. And these are the things that
quiet labor.
You know, that thank you. There we go. That quiet labor. These are the things that we as women or people of color often do because we feel like we have to oversell ourselves to get the job.
And keep the job.
Right, and keep the job, because it's unfortunate for so many years we did have to do that. But now we're in a position, or for many of us are in a position where we no longer have to do that. But the sad thing is we're forgetting to share this knowledge with those who don't know.
Well, and with the market feeling as crazy as it is, and people, trying to hang on to their jobs until they have an option, they may think, well, let me just do everything so that I don't give them any reason. But that doesn't guarantee you safety either. You know what I mean? So,
and that's the psychological warfare right there.
Yes.
That's the psychological warfare, because now I'm conditioned to believe if I don't give you my blood, sweat, tears, fever, come in when I have COVID symptoms. Like if I don't do all these things, then I could be on the chopping block.
That's right.
And so now you're operating out of fear. This is psychological fear where you're not making rational decisions for yourself, because you're going to recognize when your body does shut down and you end up forcefully either in a hospital or forcefully at home, can't get out the bed, can't make it because your body just won't allow you. They're going to replace you. Within a heartbeat, without a thought. There's someone else saying interim CEO, interim this, interim executive assistant. Some already with the new signature in the email. It's already there, and the work is still being done. But you know what? All those hours of time that you took away from yourself and your family, you can't get those back. And so, it's important for me to be here today and share these things with your audience, because I want to think about and pull to the forefront those 300,000+ women who lost their job, who many of them were at the top. Like they were at the peak of their careers, or even surpassed the peak. They broke many of ceilings and still lost their job. And trust me, they put a lot of those hours in. And it's like, so what does it now look like to have to revamp yourself? You have to reset all over again. And sometimes some of them probably weren't even in a position to reset because they spent so much time building up someone else's vision and dream that they never finished any of the products or projects that they started from themselves. And so now they find themselves feeling in a slump, or they feeling in this place of depression, and it's hard to get out of because they haven't had the opportunity to really think about their brilliance and how they can navigate and utilize their brilliance to bring themselves through. So they need a podcast like this.
Well, I want you to tell me more about that need to reset, revamp, and relaunch. What does each phase require at the bare minimum, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually?
Awesome. So, and listen, you're getting a lot in a little bit of crunch time, right? Because I do these master classes, right? So you're doing a lot in this little bit of crunch time. But I'm definitely, when we start this reset, that reset is you giving yourself the permission to triumph in the midst of your own trench.
Yes.
That reset is you saying, okay, this thing happened to me, will it be, let's say, for example, someone who has lost their job? I will actually use myself for example. In 2021, I was diagnosed with a terminal lung disease. I had to stop working. My job was like, oh, you can't work the way we need you to work. So guess what? We're going to force you into retirement. That shook me because I have finally reached a place in my, I'm hitting six figures. I finally reached a place where I'm school administrator. So I'm feeling good. Like all my years of schooling, everything has paid out. My hard work has paid off. And then I got sick. And then it was like I was no longer in the inner circle of the job. I was no longer, it was like secret meetings without me. You can't, well, being that you're not going to be able to be in person, we don't need you to attend this meeting. So then I was beginning to get excluded. And so for me, that reset was when I finally said, you know what, I'm going to stop trying to fight to be what they want me to be, but I'm going to be what I need to be for me. That's when the reset kicked in. That's when I was able to start understanding what I was going through and understanding my sickness. Because for a time I was using work to keep my mind busy from realizing that, hey, I just was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And so I had to give myself permission to stop, drop what I was carrying for someone else and start picking myself up and carrying myself. So that's that reset phase. That reset when you give yourself permission to really do that self-inventory and see where you are.
Okay.
When you go on and you move to the revamp now, and that revamp stage, I had to think about, well, what are the things that I already do? The skills that I have. That I've learned over the years, but also that I've crafted that are so well that I know are good at, and I can do these things in my sleep. How do I make these skills work for me? And so that became part of my revamp. I started to use my self-inventory for my reset to now figure out, how do I put this into action to where this can work for me? And so then I began to lean on my influence. I began to lean on my partnerships that I made over time. I began to touch upon that inner circle of people who wanted to see me do good, people who cared about my health, and people who were there to lift me up and not just be busy and nosy and see what was going around, right? And so once I was able to do that, I was able to find something that will work for me, and which brought me to my consulting. So now I said, well, okay, I already have this brilliance. I already have this knowledge and expertise on how to train trainers. How do I make that work for me? So I started my business. I started my consulting agency, Gold Mind Thoughts. Right. And so I used that skill. I used my reset to take me into my revamp. And then once I acquired a list of clients, like, hey, would you be interested in hiring a consultant to help you do XYZ? And I had about 10 clients to do that. I said, okay, then it was time for me to move into my relaunch. You see how I'm taking out? I went through the steps. And so when my relaunch was like, okay, I used my reset to understand where I was, who I was. I used my relaunch. I used my revamp to craft those things, use my influence and my connections to be able to level myself up to something different. And then I relaunched it. I said, okay, you got this thing. You have the connections, you have the people, and you already have what it takes to do what's best for you. Now step out on faith and make it work for you. And so for me, my connection to all of that was my faith. My faith is what took me through each and every single step, because it allowed me to trust not only in the Lord, but also trust in myself. So often we forget to trust in ourselves, and we keep saying, oh, the Lord is not doing. I'm asking for answers and he's not giving. So what he is, he's giving you multiple signs, but you're not listening.
That's
See,
right.
I wasn't listening when he was giving me the signs with my body, and I was saying, you know what? I kept saying, I don't feel too good, but you know what? I'm just gonna push on through. And I wasn't going to my doctor's appointments. I was showing up. I was showing up to work early. I was leaving work late, and I wasn't listening to the signs that he was giving me. But once I started to listen to the signs, and once I realized when he started showing me who people really were, and I stopped trying to change them to what I wanted them to be, then I I was able to see, okay, these are the people who are here for you. This is what your circle is. These are the people who really mean you well. And I cut ties with other people.
Yeah.
I cut ties with relationships that didn't mean me well. I
Mm-hmm.
cut ties with the people who brought negative energy around me. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I was able to do that, and I continued to put him first and listen to the word that he was giving me and
Yes.
trust in that, the fear began to move itself on its own. The roadblocks begin to clear on their own
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't operating from a place of fear. So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to reset. I was able to revamp. I was able to relaunch
Mm-hmm.
because my faith allowed me to do so. And
That's right.
that doesn't mean that you have to believe in one type of God. Like whatever I believe in doesn't mean that you believe in that in the same God.
Mm-hmm.
However, you do have a spiritual being, or you do
Mm-hmm.
believe in energy, you do believe in the earth. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
different things. So whatever you believe in, whatever you're most high in, I just say
Mm-hmm.
tap into that, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what's going to bring you to your triumph when you're navigating different levels of the trenches.
Got it. So I want to ask you two more quick questions.
Okay.
You're also a published author. How
Yes.
has your writing helped you turn survival into scholarship? And what would you say to the person who is still scared to speak their truth out loud?
I will definitely say, and I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to start with the person who is scared to speak their truth out loud. No one can tell your story like you can.
Amen.
They know their version of it. They have
Mhm.
their speculations, but they haven't
Mhm.
lived it. So until you reclaim the power over your story, you're
Mhm.
allowing other people to tell you or to put out in the universe what your story is.
Yes.
So don't be afraid of that. Write it down. You're gonna even if you're not in a space where you say you want to publish, write it down for you.
Mhm.
Put your story out, put it down for you, whether it be journaling, whether it be journaling pen to paper, whether it be voice recording notes to yourself, because it's power in rehearing and retelling your story to yourself, because
Words
that's
are
when you get to
spells, honey.
understand.
Words are
You know,
spells.
words are spelled. They
Yes.
definitely are. And when you
Yes.
speak them out loud, you
Yes.
begin to have aha moments. When you go back and you read, you go, I didn't even realize that this
Yes.
situation made me feel
Yes.
this way. I
Yes.
didn't even realize I was still holding on to this. You know what? I'm going to let this go because it's not doing me any well. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when you get to make those decisions for yourself. So that's a big part of your reset as well. When you do that self inventory, baby, that self inventory is going to give you the most strength ever, because when you can understand yourself, no one can do you harm because you know you.
That's right.
A
That's right.
lot of times we allow people to have that power
Yeah.
because we're operating under their expectations of who we are. But
Mm-hmm.
once you know yourself and you know what you can do and what you're willing to do and what you're willing to stand for, and you have those boundaries and
That's
those
right.
crystal clear expectations of what you're not going to cross and what you're not going to settle for, then
Yes.
you regain your control. So I'll say to them, tell your story for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not for anyone else, whether you publish it or not.
I love that. I love that.
No, and then I will also say for me,
Mhm.
writing is therapy. So again, like I said, I'm in 2021 when I became terminally when I was diagnosed with this terminal illness, I lost everything. I lost my ability to really speak. I lost my ability to stand, to walk, to do all these things on my own.
Look at God.
It's by the grace of God that I'm here and I'm able to do this now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's my faith and believing that, but also trusting in Him. And so I was writing because I couldn't really speak,
Mm-hmm.
because I only have 34% functionability in my lungs between both of them, and I need a double lung transplant. And so before they even gave me the oxygen, I didn't have enough energy or bandwidth to even utter my full name. And so I have to write things down so that people knew what I wanted to say or what I wanted them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so in doing that, I just started brain jumping and writing and writing things down. And I talk about this in my book, Grieving to Heal, but writing down everything that was in my thoughts and everything I was feeling. And that morphed into a book. And so
Mm-hmm.
from that, I started publishing. I started writing. I said, I can't be the only person who's experiencing this. And so I started writing self-help books about how to navigate through trauma and how to navigate through grief, how to grieve the living as well as grieve the dead. And so this has just been therapeutic for me, and it has allowed me to continue to push forward on my darkest days. And so I would encourage anyone who is maybe struggling with their thoughts and or maybe struggling with feelings and emotions to get a journal and just start writing those things down and then come back to it later, and it'll help you get a better understanding of where you are in life, but also how to navigate through those things.
And what's your call to action for anyone that feels like they're just trapped, targeted, or too tired to try again?
My call to action for you would be to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. I will also say if you want to learn more about how to navigate these different things and you're looking for a little more help, definitely reach out to me. My website is www.rdbspeaks.com. You can follow me on social media. On all social medias, I'm at rdbspeaks_.com. I have several self-help books that helps you and teach you about these steps. And also in all of my books, I share a bit about myself to give you an idea of how I used these tools and strategies, so it helps you a little more in depth. And that's what sets me apart from a lot of other trauma coaches and leadership coaches, because I always talk about what I've been through to help other individuals see it in action. So don't be afraid. Follow me on social media. Get my latest book that's coming out, Triumph in the Trenches, Volume 3. It will be released February 10th, so definitely pre-order it. I'll have a special gift in there for you. And don't forget to tune into my podcast, Triumph with RDB Speaks. It's on YouTube and streams on all social media platforms.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Xenia, thank you so much for sharing this information, for this sermon today, because this was a sermon. You was preaching real good today. So we are so happy to have had you on Still Employed, Still Afraid, because while we are telling the stories, as you shared yours, we're also sharing a message of empowerment, a message of acknowledging what we've been through, but also a way forward. And we are so grateful to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you for having me.
No worries.